So I'd like to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for your punctuality. Appreciate it. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, especially knowing how many features there are in 40 v18 R4 or feature release 4, version 18. Today we're going to talk about a lot of different topics: Listboxes, 40 Write Pro, 40 View Pro, 40 for iOS development, etc. There are too many new features in 4D to go through them all right now. But so what we're going to do is highlight a few of them. All of these features are documented, very well documented in the blog. That's how I learned about most of what I'll be presenting you here today. And I invite you, if you're interested in learning about 18R4, to go to the blog and watch and continue watching this session. What we're going to do is we're going to do it in the way that it's going to work is it's going to be in the following format. We're going to take a topic, and then we're going to allow Q&A on that topic. Hopefully, Ad's here to help me with the Q&A. So come with your questions, and if we don't know right now, we'll get back to you. And if there are any amendments of things that need to be said, or any oh shoot, I actually meant to say this, we'll send out that in the communication, in the following communication. So any retractions. So without further ado, let's get started. I'd like to introduce my co-host, 𝐻𝐚𝐭'𝐬. I don't think he needs very much introduction for this group here, but he is the Director of Technical Services, and he works in our San Jose office. And as you know, we're all at home, so he's at home. So he's in San Jose. And I'm Will Taylor. I'm the Technical Account Manager at 40 US. Lead up the professional services team here in the US, and I am speaking to you today from my house in San Francisco. So it's a beautiful day, no worries. So let's get started. So the first topic we're going to talk about today is Listbox, or Listboxes. And in version 18, R4, I have the great pleasure of telling you that all Listbox Pro features are now available to the users, to the developers in 4D without the 40 View Pro license. When we introduced the Listbox Pro features with the 40 View Pro licenses, there was some complaining, and we listened, and we agree with you, and we've removed now that requirement. So starting from version 18 R4 and onward, you no longer need a 40 View Pro license for Listbox Pro features. And those are automatic line height in your Listbox and object arrays in columns. So it's great news. So let's start off with the good news. The next thing I'd like to talk about is a new feature. Is actually a feature that that was completed in version 18 R4. And that was LK movable rows. So this feature already in previous versions of 4D, you were able to there was a property in the object tool, in the object property settings, that allowed you to move the rows, move your Listbox rows on the fly, and to set that statically in the 4D IDE. But in the form editor, but now we've completed the feature and added both the following properties to the command, to the Listbox properties, LK movable rows. You can now set them programmatically true or false. And you can also, and we've also added a getter command, and that's a Listbox get property, and then with the specific command, LK movable rows. Those are the setters and getters were already there, just the movable rows is new. And here is a quick demo of how it works. So what we have here is a Listbox, and we're going to allow the use, and I called the getter, and now I can move them around. And then I move them around a little bit, and just allows for flexibility in your UI, if that's what you need for that's what your end users need. Okay. 40 Write Pro. So printing to PDFs has gotten a lot easier with 40 v18 R4. No, you no longer have to worry about having a PDF printer driver installed on the machine or doing different things for Mac and Windows. Now 4D takes care of that internally for you. So without a printer driver required, you now are able to call this command for WP export document with the constant WK_PDF. And then also the form.options command is optional for any option that you would like to have for your PDF printing, there are different commands or different options for rendering of PDFs based on their intended use. So different options based on whether or not the document is primarily destined to be viewed on a screen, or if it's destined to be printed. So, and here's a quick demo that goes pretty quickly, but so what we have here is a 40 Write Pro document. We export it, and then it quickly exports into 40, into a PDF. So 40 Write Pro document, click the export, and then it goes into a lovely PDF. And you can also, and there are some features and for a livelier, just for more in-depth features about what is preserved in the printing of a PDF. For example, hyperlinks are preserved in the printing of the PDF. I invite you to look at the documentation and the blog to see exactly how you can see what's actually going to be in the PDF as it's supposed to be. And bookmarks are also there. So line shift in formula. So as a 40 Write Pro user, you've most likely used expressions or more recently formulas to automatically fill certain parts of your documents. These formulas can return raw text or images. And in the case of text, they may contain a carriage return character. Now the question is, how do you want the 40 Write Pro document to handle a carriage return in a raw text expression or in an evaluated expression, raw text? So today, 40 Write Pro, now with v18 R4, 40 Write Pro gives you two possibilities for this. You can either insert a new carriage return character in the existing paragraph, or you can create an entirely new paragraph. And I have a quick demo to understand what I'm talking about. So here is the attribute WK break paragraphs and formula. So it's for Write Pro area, and you can set that to be true or false. And here is the quick demo. So here you have a 40 Write Pro document with an expression, and there's a value with carriage returns. And here we're either evaluating the carriage return as line breaks or as paragraph breaks. That's what that means. Okay. And also, there were a few feature requests on the discuss.40.com forum where people asked to be able to import and export in a few different ways. So as a v18 R4, you can import 40 Write documents, 40 Write Pro documents, and text documents. And you can now export 40 Write Pro, text, PDF, and the Microsoft Word. And here is a quick demo of that feature. So here we have a 40 Write Pro image. And let me go back. Here we've got a 40 Write Pro image, or 40 Write Pro document, and we're at the import export. And you can either import by clicking this button. So I'm going to import something, and you can see here it's text, 40 Write Pro or 40 Write documents. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I've got a little hello world text right there. So that's great. And now you can also export in a variety of different things. So new features for 40 Write Pro in v18 R4. So 40 View Pro in 18R4, we now have an off-screen area. The off-screen area existed in 40 View, and while people were doing the conversions with 40 View to 40 View Pro, it was a heavily asked for feature for the off-screen area. Now, there were ways to get around it and to do different things in order to simulate an off-screen area, but now the off-screen area is fully supported, and the off-screen area can be used to do a server-sided creation of a 40 View Pro document for headless email sending, for example. If you have a weekly report to send that comes from a standardized 40 Write Pro document, you can generate the 40 View Pro document in the server, spit it out into an Excel, and then ship it off to someone else, or as a 40 View Pro, or however you like to do it. So here's a quick demo. So here you click the type of document that you want to, and you click the destination, you click export. You see nothing, the export says it's finished. And then I created the Excel document on my computer, headless. And that headless Excel document is just a nice looking Excel document that came from a 40 View Pro document. So very cool stuff. Now, this is an interesting feature because 40 View Pro automatically recalculates the formulas in your worksheet when you change the data that depend on. For example, entries, formulae, names, etc. And there were two issues that developers saw with this. If you're automatically doing your calculations, formula calculations, and you have a very large spreadsheet, you could have a performance hit in your document or your application. And also, if you have the automatic formula set running and you mistype, for example, you can have the divided by 0, and it can just change everything and make your whole sheet look bad by hitting one character or hitting a 0 in the wrong spot. So 40 listened, and now we allowed you to, now we added the feature to force the formula computation, to suspend the formula computation, or to resume the formula computation on a 40 Write Pro area. And here's a quick demo of how that works. So as you see here, the calculations are suspended, and here are the calculation. These are cells with formulas, and then I resume it, and then it does its magic. Great. And I start typing, fat fingers, and I get the slash value. I don't want that necessarily, so I have to go and change it and maybe suspend it. And so it just allows you to to really work with the to really give you more control about what you're doing and what your end users want to do in their application. So 40 for iOS. So 40 v18 delivers a very exciting feature in 40 for iOS, and that's push notifications. So push notifications are the notifications that when you download a new application, it says, do you want to receive updates from this application? You click yes or no. And push notifications are used to increase engagement in your application and to let the users of your application know when there's an update that could be interesting to them. So we understand that that's a necessity for modern mobile applications. And we've added really simple steps to send a push notification. And it's a 4-step process. You download the push notification key from your Apple developer program, the Apple developer account. You upload the key into the 40 for iOS editor in the publishing section. You define a push notification method or message and title. Sorry. and 40 for iOS takes care of the rest. So here's a quick demo of that. So this is in your sections, in your publishing section. You have the push notifications. You can turn them on or turn them off. And there you put in your certificate. And then you click build. And then you wait a second. I had already built it. And you see here, Contact would like to send you push notifications. So that's now super easy to use in 40 for iOS. Oh, and for more information, please visit, for more in-depth discussion about this, I didn't do it justice, please visit developer.40.com, the 40 for iOS section. Another feature in 4018 R4 is email authentication. So this process can be summarized in this very simple graph. I'm kidding. I'll walk you through the graph. So what the email authentication is, what it helps you do is it helps you authenticate the people that are actually using your application by having them sending them an email and then having them click on the email saying, yeah, I'm linking my session to, I'm saying who I am. So, and the way that works is when your end user logs into, downloads your application and logs in, an email, when they have to put in their email, an email is sent to their email. And in the database, the application has them has their access set to pending. Okay. Application set to pending, sends the user an email. The user opens up their email, clicks accept, it's me. That then sends something back to your 44 iOS app, your iOS application that says that this user has been authenticated. So it changes from pending to authenticated. And once the validation process is complete, clicking the link in the email, your user now is an accepted entity in your database, in your application. So again, the documentation does this more justice than I'm doing it right now. But pretty much what it is you sign up, you get an email, you click the email, and then you're a known entity in the application. And please, if you're interested in this, have a look at the 44 iOS and the blog entry on this. And a new feature that's pretty interesting, that's very interesting, is the new flexible way to design detail forms in the form editor of the app builder. And you can, and it used to be a little bit not difficult, it used to be less flexible. Now you can, here's your app builder, now you can double click. Here, let me go back to the beginning because that went pretty fast. In your form editor, you can now, here you have your fields, and here you have your form. And this is a blank this is a blank form. And you can double click, you can drag and drop the fields, and you can also, on the fly, drag and drop, reposition the fields in the editor. So very cool. So development. So as you probably noticed, classes in Orda showed up in R3, and that's adding a lot of new possibilities. And I wanted to take a second. I don't know if he's here. Let me look. He's not, so let's embarrass him a little bit. So, or it doesn't seem to be. So I want to say thank you first and foremost to Taran for making this excellent video on how to create a simple timestamp class in 4D. It's using 18R4 stuff, which is great. And I'm glad that it was just a really cool thing to open up in the discussed on 40.com. And I think it's just a cool thing that you did. And that's a great introduction on how to make a class, why a class is important, how a class can be, and how a class can be used in an application. and also how to use the class. So really cool. Yeah, so thanks for that. And thank you guys for all of your discussions on 40, discuss.40.com. It's lively and I like it. So, and it's very cool. So just want to shout out there. Another interesting class development is a new class called Cryptokey. So 40 v18 R4 has a new feature to further enhance its security toolkit. A new class providing a set of methods to perform common cryptographic operations is now available. And that class is called Cryptokey. This class provides you with a common cryptographic operations and easily helps you to authenticate messages, or prove that a sender has created and signed the message, ensure message integrity, prove that a message was not altered after signature, and ensure non-repudiation, which means that the signer cannot deny the signing of a message once it has been signed. And for more information about this, I did not do this justice, so please have a look at just developer.40.com. And here you'll find, this is the first class API reference class. This is the first class in the class API reference. And there's a technical discussion, and the blog with this, the specific blog entry really explains how it can be used and why you would want to use it. And yeah, so I invite you to look at both the blog and the 40 documentation. This 40 documentation is being added to all the time, and it's very developer.40.com, and it's very helpful for these new features in 4D. Okay. Finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about client-server development in project mode. You can now develop in client-server with the reload project command in certain scenarios. So developing before 18R4, what did you have to do if you were in project mode? You needed to write your code in standalone, launch your code in client-server mode in the client server, connect in standalone, test your application, but you were not able to modify the code in client-server mode. So you had to close down your server. If you found a bug or you needed to make a change, you had to close down your server, reopen your application in standalone mode, make the change, and do it all over again. So that's changed now with this reload project command, which can be called programmatically. So how does this work? So Will is working on a client server app. He's running his application he's running the code in 40 server, and he's connecting to 40 standalone to the server. That allows me to make changes and updates. So I do this and I say, hey, Add, can you test out this new feature that I wrote? So Add on computer 2 connects to my server, my 40 server, my computer. And he says, oh, wait, Will, you got a bug. So Add comes back to me and says, I have a bug. Now what I do is I make the change. So I connect my 40 standalone to my 40 server application. I make the necessary changes. And then I call the reload project command. And that reload project command will reload the project, and Add will be able to reconnect to my application. So on reconnection to my application, Add will receive the latest source code. Did I explain that right, Add?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
In a nutshell, just to give you a little bit of a background. So anytime that 4D needs to reload the project in a client server mode, what it means is, in fact, there are 4 ways that 4D will reload. And reload basically means 4D will rebuild the 4DZ file so that when 4D client or a remote client make a connection, it will get that new 4DZ file transfer over, which is basically the structure. But there are 4 ways basically for 4D to reload, not just the command itself. The command can be used to automate some of the reloading to happen. Maybe you will build a macro that every time when you save a method, the structure will reload itself. It's very convenient if you want to automate that. But the other 3 is quite simple. So if you switch from the design mode to an application mode, even though you're on the client server, it will force 4D server to reload itself, reload the package. Or if you bring 4D server from a background to the foreground, 4D server will also reload that in the background. Or if you go to the file menu and select save all, that's exactly doing the same thing. So there are 4 options, but with the command reload project, it helps you kind of streamline. Like I said, sometimes you added some macros that does something when you switch an option, like when you save or when you change the windows and stuff like that. It really helps in terms of streamlining your development process.
Thank you, Ad. So, thank you. So, I would like to invite all of you 4D developers to take advantage of a service that we've been running for about 2 years now almost. And this is a free report that we create for you, a free personalized report. And that in this report, we in order to make this report, we review all of your application source code, plugins, usage. No data is needed for this report. And we create a report that tells you exactly what needs to be done in order to get your application up to v18. Also, if you're currently running a 32-bit version, we have a 64, what needs to be done to get your application to 64-bit as well. So it's a free service that we offer with the professional services team. And if you're interested, I recommend everybody doing it. It's one per, it's capped at 1 per application. So yeah, contact your sales team to start yours today. And then also, if you're interested in learning more about the class features and the new features in 4D, 4D started you've probably seen, but 4D has started a lot of online training classes. And if you want to get more up to speed on these new features in 4D, I recommend all of everybody take these courses. Some of the so in November there were 2. I believe one was today, so there's one left in November courses sessions, and then there are 5 in December. And the upcoming topics are all about running methods on the server, out-of-the-box client-server optimizations with Orda, the fundamentals of Orda, is your application ready for Orda, object for beginners, everything you know about objects in 4D, and introduction to extending data classes. So I invite you to look at the calendar to see which one fits, and they're 60+ minute training, and their attendance is capped. I don't know, all of the information is on the website, but just it's first come, first serve, and the attendance is capped. So beware of that. So if you're interested, hop on it. I recommend that. Oh, Andrew Diaz said he did the app review, the v18 preparedness report, and it was very much worth it. He learned new ways to code queries and is still cleaning up the. Oh, I believe he's talking about the DCA, the DCA. So The DCA is another service that the professional services team offers, which is called the deep code analysis, where it's a little bit different, but we look at your source code, and then we look at your client server logs, and then we're able to review your entire application and review how your application is running, and give you personalized recommendations on how you can attain your application's goals. So, but yes, that's a DCA. And if you're also interested in having a DCA or an audit of your application, or your client would like that, your end user would like that, or if you're running into any issues with your application, or in a maintenance phase, it's any great time to do a DCA of your application. And Danny asked, will a recording of this session be available? The answer is yes, it will be available. The recording of the session will be without the Q&A, where possible. Right now, I guess I'm going to the recording of the session, but yes, it will be possible. It will be sent out in a thank you email this week, I believe. Glad you want to rewatch it. And if there are no more questions, I want to say a big thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Oh, I say, yeah, thank you, Ad, for your technical expertise, and I really appreciate it. And thank you all for your questions and participation in this feature release webinar. If we'll be doing this every our release now, I think, going forward. I think this was a really big hit. If you have any more questions, feel free to write me or Ad or your account representative an email, or if you have, just let us know. And any questions in the interim between now and the next webinar, feel free to bring them up on discuss.40.com. And I want to say thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And I will be closing the call now.
Thank you, guys.